Hello everyone. Last time we started talking about the most interesting part of Excel, which is formulas and functions. And briefly we discussed the following. We discussed how to write a simple equation or a formula, same like this one, 150 by 0.05. We discussed also how to refer to two cells instead of writing the explicit number. We can refer to a cell, and this cell contains a value, and whenever you change these values, the equation will work on the new values. Also, we have discussed how to name a range of cells to make your equation looks more logical, like this one, income minus expense, and instead of using something like this, A1 plus or minus A2, we are using names like this just to make your equation looks more logical. We have discussed a very little of the functions. We talked about the summation function called sum, and you open two parentheses, and between these two parentheses you can type the range that you need to add up the figures inside them. And we also talked about the logical comparison if A1 equals C12, and this will return either true or false. All these are formulas except sum. Sum is a function, a ready-made function. That means it is written, a module written by Excel that will do a specific task. Okay, so all these except for sum, all of them are formulas. You can type them to check something or to get a result. Also, we discussed the order of operation. That means if you have division, subtraction, addition, and so on in the same equation, how Excel will process these operations. And we talked about that there is a specific order Excel will handle. For example, it will start with exponents or roots, then will go for multiplication or division, then addition or subtraction, then concatenation, then logical comparison. That means after everything is done, Excel can now, after everything is already done, can logically compare the content of the cell with something else. And we have taken this example as a complex combination of operators. We had this summation or as a plus sign, we had multiplication, we had division, we had exponent, and we have seen the result and explained how the result was calculated. Now let's start our new session with the specific functions like these functions, date, time, mathematical functions, statistical functions, and so on. Let's start with the date and time functions. Date and time functions are some ready-made functions that uses the data, which is date or time, to do some operations regarding date and time. We will be discussing the following 10 functions: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. These are 10 functions. The most popular date and time functions. For example, the last 3 and 3, these 6 functions, separates date part from a date cell. That means if you have a date, you can separate only the days or months or years, or if it has some hours, you can split it and get only the hours or minutes or seconds. Let's see something like this. Okay, type here. If you remember this example, we have some data, and this specific column contains dates. So maybe I need to extract only the year or the month or the day portion um, of this date. So let me hide all these columns. Right click, hide, and let me split these dates into year, month, and day. Here I can simply type equals year, open parenthesis, or hit tab or double click it and choose the date serial number. As you can see here in the tip, year between parentheses, it is expecting serial number. Serial number, that means a date, because date is stored in Excel as a serial number or a number. Okay, now I can see only the year portion is extracted from this date. Let me do it again with months. Equals month, like so. I can double click it, okay, and then choose this cell, close the parenthesis, hit enter. Now it is the third month of the year, which is March, as you can see. The same here with day. I can just type day and double click it or hit tab button on the keyboard like this and choose this cell. Now I will not close the parentheses, instead I will hit enter directly. It will do the needful here. Excel actually is very smart software. It can help you in many cases, and this is one of the cases. When you finish up a formula, you don't have to close the last parenthesis like this. It will detect the parenthesis and will close it automatically. Now I can highlight the three cells like this and use the autofill handler, which is the tiny square in the very right bottom corner, and double click it. Now I can have all the years for every line of these, and same for months and same for days, like so. So all of these are March, the month of March, despite the difference of the year, and here are many days. Okay, so this is the function of year, month, and day. Okay, type what if I have the year separately, month separately, and day separately, and I want to do the reverse operation. I want to combine one full date like this one. How can I combine them together to form a date? Simply, I can use a function called date. This function, what it does, it combines a year and a month and a day to form a date format. For example, I can refer to this because it is asking for a year, so I can click this one, comma, because it's asking for a comma. Month, this is the third month, I will hit it, comma, and the day, this is 17th, close the parentheses, hit enter. Now it is a date. Now Excel recognize this as a date, but this one is not recognized by Excel as a date. It's just a number. This one is a number, this one is a number. But if I need Excel to recognize all of them as dates, I need to use some function like this one, date. Now I can see dates. Despite the difference of format between this and that, these must be equal. So I can use an equation which says this one equals that one, and it must be true because both of them are the same date. Okay, despite this format is different than this format uses the day at first, then the name of the month in short, and then the year. But here we use the number of the month, then the day, then the year. But Excel knows or can recognize that these are dates and these are also dates, and can compare between them and give us some result. So this one is called year, this is month, day, and this is date. This combines the portions like this, and this does a comparative formula like so. Same thing can be applied for time, because time I can say we are now at 8 o'clock and 15 minutes and 5 seconds, like so. Using this column tells Excel that this is a time, exactly same as using this slash, this forward slash tells Excel that we are using date. Now it is 8:15, that means it's an AM, this is on the morning. But if I use 20, that means it is PM. If I use something like this, it will be PM. 20 here means 8 o'clock, but at the evening, so it is PM. Okay, type. How can I extract the hour portion, minute portion, and second portion? The same as in the dates format. We can have hour, minute, and second. You can use it like this. See, this is the hour, minute, and second. Of course, we can combine date and time on the same cell. For example, if we are having a time stamp, that means you are having a database which when every record is typed or recorded, a date and time must be set in here. So we can have something like 17th of March 2001, same as this one, and it is 8:15:05, like so. Okay, I believe it didn't. It didn't recognize it because it needed it as this one, the same format. Months should come first, so it should be 3/17. This will do the trick. Now, if you can see here, it is March 17th, 2001, and it is 8:50 and 5 seconds AM. Okay, we can split whatever we need by using these functions: hour, minute, second, or day, month, year. Also, we can get today's date. Sometimes you need your sheet to represent today's day or today's date every time you open it. In this case, we can use today function like this. This will give us the date of today, which is 22nd of October 2021. Also, we can use now to get the exact date and time for today. So now it is 9 p.m. 9 minutes. Okay. This depends on your computer's clock. Okay. If I change my computer clock, it will change these dates as well. Okay. Let's see some little mathematical functions. Not everyone like mathematical or math, mathematics, but these functions are pretty nice. They are used to do some missions, some raising to power, some getting absolute value, and so on. Let's get them one by one and see what are these functions do. Let's see. ABS is a short for absolute. That means it uses absolute value without any sign. That means if I need to get rid of the sign, if it exists, so if I have a number like 1 or -1, I need them both to be the same. So I will use ABS or absolute value, and will choose the 1, and will copy this and paste it in here. Paste. So both are returning 1. Same can be done here, equal ABS, and refer to this one, close the parenthesis, hit enter. So it is now 15. So I'm neglecting the sign. If it is positive or negative, I can return it as positive in all cases. That is absolute figure. This is modulus. Modulus means equals mod 10 and 4. This will divide 10 over 4, and this will give us 2, and the remainder will be 2 as well. So these are the reminders. If I make it 15, 15 over 4 is 3, and the remainder will be also 3. If these are 20, 20 divided 4 is 5, and the remainder is 0. So this is the remainder, or what remains after dividing two numbers like this, 20 over 4. So this is the number, and this is the divisor. Okay, so what remains comes as modulus, as the function of mod. So the function of mod returns what remains after division process. Okay. Okay. These functions are used to rectify a number to the nearest something. For example, for ceiling and floor, this raises or decreases the number to the nearest multiplier. What does this mean? If I'm using ceiling like this, ceiling for this number 10.3256, and I need this number 10 point whatever to be rounded to the nearest one figure multiplier of 1, but the nearest, that means the next nearest. So it multiplies 1 by 1 by 2 by 3 by 4 by 5 until it is 1 by 10. This will give us 10. 1 by 10 will give us absolute 10, and this is not the next multiplier. The next multiplier should be 1 by 11, which is 11. So this figure will be rounded to the next multiplier of 1. Same comes here for multiplier by 2. Multiplier by 2, that means 2 multiplied by 1. Let's see. These are the multipliers of 2. 2 by 1 equals 2, 2 by 2 equals 4, and so on and so forth. So our test case is 10 point something. 10 is coming in here. 10 is coming in here. So the next multiplier is 12. So this one gets 12. So sealing this number, the blue one, to the multiplier of 2 is 12, because this is the fifth multiplier and this is the next multiplier. Same here for 3. If I type here 3 like this, do you remember how to make this reference as absolute? I'm copying from here to here. So this is the first multiplier for, oh, sorry. This is the first multiplier of 3. This is 3 by 1 equals 3, 3 by 2, 3 by 3. Our test case is 10 point something. 9 is still less than 9, than 10, but here is 12. This is the next multiplier of 3. Okay, so this is 3 as well. 4 is the same, 5 is 15, 6 is 12 as well, and so on and so forth. We can test them, of course. I can change this fixing by using F4. F4 will rotate the fixing. It is not, now it is relative reference with no fix at all. If I hit F4 once, it will do like this. It will fix both of them, D and 28. If I hit it again, it will fix only the row number, which is 28. If I hit it again, it will fix only the D, the column. If I hit it again, it will go back to the as it was at the first place. So I will hit it 3 times to fix the D. This is the blue one. I need to fix the column here. So let's come in here and copy and paste it for all of them and type here 4, 5, and 6. Now the next multiplier here is 12. The next multiplier here is 12. The next multiplier here is 12. The next multiplier here is 15 actually. The next multiplier here is 12, as you can see. So these are the next multipliers for the number 10, raised to the multiplier of 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. Okay? Okay, طيب. What is the previous multiplier of 1, 2, 3, and so on. That means floor is exactly the opposite for ceiling. يعني here we are raising to the next multiplier, here we are lowering to the previous multiplier. So for 10 point something, if we raise it to the multiplier of 1, so the next multiplier is 10, because 10 is less than 10 point something. So this is the multiplier, the next multiplier here. And if I'm multiplying by 2, so the next multiplier is 10 as well here, because 10 is less than 10 point something. And here 9 is the preceding multiplier. Here is 8, as you can see. Here is 10, and here is 6. So floor in here gets the multiplier before this one, before exceeding 10 point something. Okay, so that's it. Okay, let's move to the next couple of functions. Int, this is an integer. It has nothing to do with another argument. Int has only one argument, which is the number, and this rounds the number to get an integer. It will ignore all fractions. So integer has only one number, one argument, and this is number. And the function of integer, it will ignore all fractions, and it will use only the integer portion of the value. Truncate, on the other hand, will use a couple of arguments, which is the number and the number of digits that I need to keep. And in this case, I can leave some digits. I can leave 1 digit, 2 digits, 3 digits, 4 digits, and so. Let me use this one. F4, 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 and enter. Now I can drag them. In this case, I'm leaving only one digit of the fractions. See, this one, and using only one digit. So the result is 10.3, and everything else is ignored. Here, I'm leaving 2 digits. So it is 10.32. Here, I'm using 3 digits. So it is 10.325, like so. And here I'm using all 4 digits, as you can see. Okay, this is 5 and 6 digits, but there are no more digits in our original number. Okay, so this is floor and ceiling. These goes to the next or previous multiplier for the significance value. And integer removes all fraction. Truncate some of the fractions. Okay. Let's move to some other functions which do rounding as well. These are round down, and round up. The 3 of them are rounding the figure. So this, the same figure here, I'm using the same figure, but I'm trying to use round and round down and round up to see the difference between them. Round gets 2 arguments, the number and number of digits to round to. So in this case, I'm getting this number and I'm rounding to two digits, so it is rounding 3, and this 2 will be converted into 3 because the next number is 5, and 5 will increase this 2 to be 3. So this number 10.3256 will be 10.33. This is a regular rounding process. It checks the next number, and if this number is 5 or more, it will add 1 to the previous one. So in this case, the 3 is left as is, but the 2 was raised to the next digit because it is the next number is 5, as you can see. Okay, round down ignores whatever left. That means even if we have 5 in here, it will ignore it, and it will only use these 2 digits. So it will be 3, 2, exactly same as truncate. And round up, it will also ignores the next digit, even it is less than 5, and it will consider it as 5 or more. Yani this is exactly the opposite of round down. Round down, it will ignore the next digit or will consider it as 0. The round up consider the next digit as the maximum, maybe 5 or 9. Okay, so if I'm rounding to the first digit, which is 3, and the next digit will be 2, and 2 is less than 5, so it shouldn't be accumulated on this 3, it shouldn't be 4, but because I'm using round up, so Excel considers this 2 as the maximum and will round up, will round to the next digit. So I'm using here round this number to 1 digit, so the 3 becomes 4, considering the 2 as the maximum. So round up considers the next digit as maximum. Okay. Okay. Let's leave rounding figures and go to some other functions. We have pi, power, and square root functions. Pi is a constant, as you all know, and the value of pi is 22 divided by 7, and this will give us 3.1415, so on, and so on and so forth. So how can I use this pi? Simply I can type equals pi and parenthesis, and it will return this number exactly. If I hit equals 22 divided 7, this will give me almost the same figure, is 3.14. Okay. What's power? Power is raising one figure to the power of another figure. That means we can say power, let's say for example 2 to the power of 3. This will give us 8. So I'm raising 2 to the third power. Square root is square root and number. Maybe I can hit 9, and this will give us 3. Square root of 9 is 3, and this is 2 to the power of 3. These are very interesting functions. The sum function, of course, we have seen it before, but I have added it here because it's one member of the family of the other sums. The other sums actually are conditional sums. Sum if here is a summation function exactly like this one, but with a condition. That means I can do a summation for example, a certain branch. So I can do a summation only for this branch, not for the full column. For example, here I can do a summation like this. We have seen some before, like this. Now it is calculating everything in here. Okay, but if I'm having some branches in here, for example, uh, branch 1, branch 3, branch 2, branch 1 again, and so on and so forth. This, if I use sum if, it will calculate only the numbers in front of branch 1. That means it will calculate 3 and 12 and 21 and so on. Only branch 1 numbers will be calculated or added up. And sum ifs, as it appears from its name, it uses multiple functions. Sum ifs, many functions. So let's start using this example. So this is a regular summation. This adds up everything in this range, like so. But if I want to only do a summation for branch 1 like this, I need to get all the amounts related to branch 1. So I will do this sum if. It requires a range, criteria, and summation range. That means a range that the criteria applies to. In this case, I will seek this range because I'm seeking branch number 1 in here. I'm seeking branch number 1 in here. So the first range is referring to the range that contains my condition or the condition that I'm seeking, comma, criteria. Criteria is the conditions that I want to search for. In this case, it will be branch 1. I will choose this one, like so, comma, sum range. If I found branch 1 in this range, what is the other range that I need to do the summation? I will use the same range here, column F, and will hit enter. I will not close the parentheses. Excel will do it for me. Now it is 66. That means if I choose branch 1 in here, branch 1 here, branch 1 here, branch 1 here, this sums up to 66, as you can see. So this one combines only branch 1 numbers. Okay. Right. What if I need multiple conditions? For example, I need branch 1 and it should be greater than, for example, greater than 15. Okay. So in this case, I will not use sum if, I will use sum ifs. Let's see. Equals sum ifs, and sum ifs uses a different arrangement for columns because sum ifs doesn't use only one pair of condition and criteria like sum if, but it uses multiple conditions and criteria. So in this case, it begins with the summation range, which is this one. Then I will give this function pairs of arguments. These arguments are criteria range and criteria. criteria range and criteria, and so on. Let's see. So the first one here is the range that I will do the summation. يعني I will sum this range. Then criteria range, that's it. And the criteria itself will be branch 1. Same as sum if, but the arrangement of columns or arguments is different. We start with the summation range. Now, the second and third arguments can be repeated again. Criteria range number 2, criteria number 2. And if I supplied second couple of columns or arguments, it will ask for third and fourth and fifth and so on. So I can use multiple conditions in this case. Okay? Right. I will add a couple of more conditions. That means I need this range, comma, to be greater than 10. See how I typed it? Quotations, greater than sign, and 10. Now I can close the parenthesis, or if I didn't, Excel will close it for me. Now it is 63. Let's try to simulate the condition. Branch 1, 3, 12, 21, and 30. These are 66. Which one of them is less than 10? Only the 3. So the condition here needs to reduce these 3 to be 63. Let me change the condition and use it to be less than 15. So I will ignore also that 12. I will take only that 21 and 30. It should be 51. Let's come in here and change this 10 to 12. So it is 51. This is these two sets. Okay. So that means this is the sum, the regular sum. It will add up all these figures together. This is sum if, and let's try to review again the arguments required. Range, criteria, and sum range. Sum range is the range that has the figures or the numbers that I need to add them up. And range and criteria range are the range which has the conditions that I need. Criteria is the condition itself. In this case, the range is branches like this, and the criteria is BR1 or branch 1. So sum if will add up all the numbers in column F on one condition, that column C, the branches column, contains BR1. Okay? But what if I change any one of them? For example, this BR4, I will change it to BR1. So I will add up 36 to all of them. See? They are all changed depending on adding this branch 1 to the list of all branches, as you can see. Some didn't change because the same figures didn't change, but sum if, because it is combining only branch 1, so when this was branch 4 it wasn't considered, but now because it is branch 1, so it is considered. Let me undo and see this 102, it was 66, and this one it was 55, because this one was a combination for these two numbers. Branch 1 30 plus 21 was 51, and the 66 was the same two, adding this 12 and this 3. That were the figures before, but when I change the branch 4 into branch 1, so I will add the 36 as well. let's do it again. This is 66 and this 51. Let's change it to branch 1 and see the figures have been changed for branch 1 calculations. Okay, let's come in here and open the function dialog box like so to see the details. SUMIF requires a range, criteria, and a sum range. When we choose any one of them, you will have down there description for what is this. The range is the range of cells you want to evaluate. Criteria is the condition or criteria in the form of number, expression, or text that defines which cell to be added. That means the first one is branches and the criteria is branch 1. So it is going to consider only branch 1 related fields. Sum range are the actual cells to sum. These are the cells that I will add up. If omitted, the cells in range to be used. That means it will use this cells. If it is numbers, of course, but because these are text, it cannot be added up to each other. Okay. So in this case, because these are not numbers, so we cannot omit the third argument, which is sum range. Okay, let's do the same with SUMIF. Let's open the dialog box and see. This is the sum range. This is different than SUMIF. Yani this was the third one and it was optional. Now it is mandatory to indicate, and it is the first one. And here is criteria and criteria range and criteria. These were the first and second options for SUMIF. Now they are second and third, and they are called 1 and 1. Criteria range 1, criteria 1. Before they were called criteria range and criteria only, because in here we have these couple or these two options. We can add them number 2 and number 3 and number 4. We can add as many as we wish of conditions. We can add another criteria and another criteria and another criteria. So SUMIF takes the first argument is the range that the actual summation will happen, which is F28 until F39. That's it. This is the range that the actual summation will happen. Criteria range is C range, which contains the branches, and C42 here contains the branch 1. So it contains branch 1. So this is the value. That means we are looking for branch 1 in the criteria range, this one. So we are looking for branch 1 like this, branch 1 like this, and taking the the figure in front of it. And this is the second range, criteria range 2, which is F28 until F39, the same column, and the criteria itself to be larger than 15. Okay, larger than 15. And this is the result, the expected result of this equation or this formula. That's it. Hope the SUMIF and SUMIFs were easy for you to understand. Let's move to the next couple of functions, which are product and sum product. Product means to multiply few numbers together. That means if I say product and give it 2, 3, 4, that means it will multiply 2 by 3, which is 6, and 6 by 4, which is 24. See? So it multiplies everything given to it. Okay, I can use product in here. And I can multiply all these numbers together. 1 by 2 by 3 by 4 by 5 by 6. This is equivalent to this multiplied by this. Okay. So instead of this big equation, this small function can do the same. I can just highlight the range and it can do the exactly same issue. Okay, we have something else called sum product. Sum product means it will multiply, for example, this by this and add multiplication this by this and add this by this and so on. So let's try it. Equal this multiplied by this, then I will add this by this, add this by this. Sum product these and these. See? So sum product takes two ranges like this, multiply each cell with the equivalent of it, the one in front of it. So it multiplies 6 by 12, then add this to 5 by 10, then add this to 4 by 8, and so on and so forth. So if the range is relatively bigger, it doesn't need from me to add them one by one like this, but I just can highlight the two ranges and it will multiply each two cells together and add them to the next multiplication and so on and so forth. Okay. Okay, that's it for this. Let's go for statistical functions. These are count, count A, count blank. We have also count if and count ifs, same as sum. We have max, we have many, or minimum, we have mode, rank, small, and so on. Okay, let's see these functions. Count, count A, and count blank. Count does a count, it counts all these values except for blanks, logical, text, and so on. So if I use count like this, count, let's see how many cells here. So we have 12 cells, one of them is empty, so we have 11 non-empty cells. Okay. Count A and count blank. Of course, count blank counts the blanks only, like this one. Count blank, I'm using this range. It's counting only one blank cell, that's it. Count A counts everything but blanks, so it is 11. So if I add up these two, these are 12 cells. And if you look here in the naming box, when I choose this, it is referring to 12R, that means 12 rows. So the range consists of 12 rows or 12 cells. 12R by 1C, that means 12 rows by one column. That means they are 12 cells. So 12 cells, 11 of them, count A, is non-empty, and one of them is count blank, is empty. So both of them are 12. طيب. What about count? Count will count only numbers. It will ignore logical, like false or true. It will ignore text. It will ignore blanks. So it will only consider this one, these three, and these three. What is the count? It is 8. That's it. Okay. So count will consider only numbers. Count A will consider everything, every non-blank cell, including logical, including numbers, including characters. Count blank will consider only blank cells. We have, as I mentioned, we have count A, count blank. We have count if and count ifs, the same usage as sum if and sum ifs. But let me just demonstrate one of them. I will use count ifs as an example. Criteria and range. It doesn't have a third option, only criteria and range. That means we can choose this range and say whatever criteria that we need. For example, greater than مثلا let's say 5, or make it greater than 3. This would be 4. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the only cells which are greater than 3. This is count ifs. Okay, so this is for counting, if you need to count cells. Okay, type. We have max and mini, the maximums and minimums. Let's remove these and come here for max and max A, minimum and minimum A. Max, of course, when you choose a range like this, it will give you the biggest number, actually ignoring the letters, of course, and ignoring the logical expressions. This seems to be logic, but actually the logical expression are equivalent to 1 and 0. So they are actually numbers, or Excel can consider them as numbers. So this range, the maximum or the biggest number is 9. But if I choose this range, the maximum should be 1, which is true. If I change the range to only this, unfortunately, it will ignore this 1, this true. Let me just copy and paste it in here and use max A instead of max and see what happened. It gives me 1. There are no 1 in here, no ones, only fractions, 0.1, 0.2, and these are all in negative. There is no any single integer with 1. No, the true is considered or evaluated as 1, okay, and the false is considered as 0 actually. Okay, same will be for minimum. If I say minimum and choose all this, it will ignore this 0. It will ignore it. Okay, and now it is considering these less than 0 figures. I will ignore them. I will exclude them from my selection. So the minimum is 3. So in this range, the minimum is 3. But this true is considered as 1. It is ignored. This one is considered as 0. It must be the smallest, but it is also ignored by this function, mini or minimum. I will copy this function and paste it here. And instead of minimum, I will use min a to consider these logical values, and the minimum amount or the smallest value in this range is the false, which is 0. Okay, which is considered as 0. Excel considers the false as 0. That means in any equation or any function, sorry, in any function, when Excel asks you for a true or false value, you can type explicit true or false, or you can use 1 and 0 instead. Okay? Okay. So we have discussed the count family, minimum and maximum family. Let's see these three: mode, range, and smooth. This mode gets a range. Now it's asking for one number and another number and another number. You can choose one by one, this one, comma, this one, comma, this one, comma, this one, or instead, delete. You can use a range like this. Enter. It will return the most common figure between these, and you can see this is the 4 because it is repeated twice. Okay, this is mode. Rank. Rank searches for a number, like for example the number 4, comma, in this range. So it searches for the 4 in this range and tells you the rank of this number in this range. By default, it is descending from the largest to the smallest. Now you can see it is descending. If it is ignored, it will consider it as descending, 0. Or you can type 1 to specify that you want it ascending. I will ignore it for now and see. So it's telling you that number 4 is ranked as the 3rd number. Let's see. The 9 is the biggest. This is first one. Second one is the 5. Third one is 4. So this is true. Let's get it from lower to maximum, from smallest to largest. So I will specify 1 as ascending order. In this case, it is returning 5. Why is that? 1, 2, 3, 4. All these 4 numbers are less than 4, and the 4 comes in the 5th grade, so it is the 5th grade. The rank for the number 4 is number 5 in this range. So this is rank. We have small. You can specify a range and say I need the second smallest number. This is -0.2 because this is the smallest. This is the smallest, and this is the next smallest number is -0.2, and so on. Okay, let's move to the next set of functions. The lookups. Okay, this is a complete different range of functions, which is called lookup and reference functions. This is actually needs some imagination, and you need to concentrate a little bit more to see how these functions work. Let's see. Let's go back here. The first one is the Vlookup and HLookup. That means it searches for some value and returns another value in front of it. But it has only one condition. The search column must be the leftmost column. That means maybe I can search for a branch and then I can get the next or third or fourth column next to it. I cannot search for this column and return a value preceding it. I cannot get value from column B or A. I must get a column from here forward. Okay, so this column must be the first column in my search. So if I need to search for branch 1 and then return 1, 2, 3, 4, the fourth number in front of it, I can come in here and ask for a Vlookup like so. Vlookup. I press tab to complete the word Vlookup. Again, equal VL and tab. It will auto-complete the function and open the parenthesis. Now it is looking for a lookup value. What you are searching for? Okay, I'm searching for branch 1, for example. So I can come here and say BR1 like so, comma. Now it is asking for table array. See, the word table array is bold, a little bold, because it is asking now for table array. So I need to highlight this area. You can see that the lookup range, the range that I need to search for BR1 in, must be the first column in the search area. Yani I need to highlight this column and then go to the right as much as you wish. For example, if I need this column, it must be included in here. Maybe not the last one, but it must be included. See, I can return anyone inside this highlight or this selection. I can return anything starting from column C till the end of my selection. So I'm selecting from C27 until H39. I will press F4 to add $sign for everything, comma, column index number. That means which column in this range I need to return. This is column number 1, number 2, number 3, 4, 5, 6. So I will return number, let's say number 5, which is the column G. Let's count again. Column C is the first one, D second, E third, F fourth, and G is the fifth. I will require the fifth column, so it should return number 4 here. Okay, comma, it is asking for range lookup, and range lookup actually, range lookup is either true or false. If you recall, I told you that we can substitute true with 1, false with 0. So I can type true explicitly, or I can type 1. Both are the same. And true is the default value in here. True means approximate match, not exact match. If it doesn't find branch 1, it can get you whatever nearest to it. So of course I need exact match, so I will choose false, or I can type 0 like so, and will close the parenthesis and hit enter. It returned the first value in front of first occurrence of branch 1. So it looked in this column. When it found branch 1, it gets me the first value in front of it, which was number 4. Of course, number 4 here is in the 5th column. If you can see the count up there, please see. So this is 1C, 2C, third column, fourth column. This is 5th column. So column G is the 5th column, starting from here to here. Okay. Again, VLOOKUP means it looks up in a vertical column and returns the number in front of it in a certain column on the right direction. So I'm searching for this value, lookup value, which is branch 1. I'm looking for it in this range, the highlighted range, and I need the 5th column, number G, and this 0 refers to false, or I need the exact match. Each lookup is exactly the same, but we are looking for a row. So we are searching in a row and returning one of the next rows to it. You can try it, of course, by yourself. Column, row. Column and row returns the current column or the current row. That means column D is the 4th column. If I refer to column like this, column, that's it. It will return 4. If I copy it to 5, see, it is returning the number of this column. Column A is number 1, column B is number 2, column C is number 3, and so on. So when I type column, that means I want to get the number of the columns that I am typing the formula inside it. Same as row. If I come here and type row like this, it's giving me 32 because I'm in row 32. If I copy it like this, it can give me whatever row I'm in it. Of course, for the first time, if you are looking to this function, you can say this is a dumb function because I already know that I'm in row 32 or so. Or maybe why do I need the number of the column? But if you get this a little bit advanced in using Excel, you can refer to some other cell using the current row or current column. You can use it in little advanced formula. So it's very important, but maybe not everybody needs it. Okay. Address, index, and indirect. Address, you can give it a row and a number. For example, row number 28 and column number 3. That means this column and this row, and it is returning its name or its reference like C, this is C28 and it is returning C28. Index, let's only choose one column. This is an array and return number 3. So number 3 in this array is BR3. 1, 2, 3. The third row here is BR3. Indirect. What is indirect? Indirect, you can give it an address. For example, C28, like this. And these are the format that you need to choose for. I will choose the second one, true, which is A1 style. This indirectly will return the value resides inside the reference C28, which is BR1. In this one, I have indirectly get the address of the cell in the third column and 28th row, which is C28. I have used this one inside this formula to get the value inside this cell. Lookup and reference, actually this range of functions is a very powerful functions, but it is I'm afraid it's very advanced sort of functions. I just needed to highlight a sample of these functions. Maybe you will use only Vlookup, maybe HLookup of this set, but the rest is a little advanced. You will use it in a very specific situations, and it will save you the day because these are very powerful functions, but actually it's a little bit advanced, needs a separate session to discuss them and to see how to use them in real life to be useful. Let's move to the next set of functions. These are the text functions: concatenate, left, right, mid, len, lower, and upper. Let's see them. Text functions. Concatenate, for example, is used to combine two texts together. For example, if I have first name and last name, and I need to combine both names together, so I can use concatenate to combine this, comma, this together. Only one issue will happen here, and that is there is no space between first name and last name. See, it's one word. So I need to add a space here. So this is E5 and a space and F5. So John space Smith. Okay. Another way to concatenate text is to use the ampersand, this sign. Okay. So I can say equal this one, ampersand, quotation, space, quotation. This is, I'm just keeping a single space here between double quotes. Ampersand again. Same result, but this one is an equation. This one is a function called concatenate, and the other one is an equation with an operator. This is an operator, same as plus, minus, divide sign, or multiplication sign. Okay, this is an operator, but this operator is used with text only. Okay, so this is concatenate. What is left, right, and mid? This is used to extract piece of a text. Let me try to do it like this. Left, mid, right. Let me split them, get this part here, get this part here, and this part in between. Left, I say L-E-F-T, left, and mention the cell that contains the text, and mention also how many characters that I need to extract from this cell from left side. For example, in this cell I need the leftmost 4 characters in here, so I will say C4 and C6, sorry, and 4 characters and 4 characters. Okay, that will split or cut only 4 characters from this cell. Okay, we'll cut only 4 characters from this cell from the leftmost characters, starting left to right. Exactly the same with the right function. I will choose this cell and I will get the rightmost 5 characters. So this is right, this is left, this is right. Okay. Now what about mid? It should be the same with a very small difference. This is the text that I need to cut something in between, but here I will not have only number of characters. I will need to determine the start point and then number of characters. So number of characters are 3, but starting from, let's count, these are 4, comma, this is 5, 6, starting the 7th character, and with a length of 3 characters. This will give me the mid. Okay, again for this, again mid, the arguments for the mid function are 3, not 2 arguments like left or right. These 3 are the text, which contains the portion that we need to cut, the length, number of characters, same as left and right, but here we have another option or another argument, which is start character. That means starting from which character to start this cutting process. So I mentioned here 7, and the 7 here counted as follows: 4 characters for left, L-E-F-T, and 1 character for comma, this is 5, space, this is 6, and I'm starting from the 7th character, which is M. I'm starting from M and length of 3, M, I, and D. Okay, this is mid. So left takes only two arguments: the cell with the data and how many characters to cut. Right is exactly the same. Mid is similar, but we add here start point to cut from. Okay, we have this len to give us how many characters this cell contains. So mid contains only 3 characters, right contains 5 characters, and so on. Of course, one very common mistake that we do is is having a space, because having a space cannot be seen by naked eye and can cause you a problem using functions, because functions need exactly the exact same word. So if you are, for example, using Vlookup or so with a character with a space, it will not be seen. So let's do some error here, and I will not cut only 3 characters, I will cut 4 characters. That means I will take the next space as well. So you can see here 3 characters, M, I, and D, but Excel, when using len function, it gives me 4 characters. Where is the 4th character? It is the space after the D character. You cannot see it, but Excel can feel it, because each character, even it's not seen, it has a code for computer to sense it. Okay. Let me leave it as is. Let me do something. How can I cut these spaces, these white spaces, if I don't need it? I can use a function called trim here. What is this? Trim in here isolate these spaces. For example, if I have something like this and I say len, these are not 3 characters, because I have some characters at the beginning and some characters at the end. I can remove these characters by trim function. Okay, so trim removes all white spaces or empty spaces from the word. Okay, but having a white space in between, trim will not remove. Trim only removes the preceding and the upcoming spaces, يعني spaces before and after the text, but all white spaces in between, trim will not consider it. Okay, this is for trim. Upper and lower, this turns the case for the word to uppercase or lowercase. That means here I have the word left with the L in capital. If I want to show this word in all caps or in all lower case, I can use upper or lower like this. Upper, and choose this cell. You can see it, all the characters in uppercase. Or I can use the lower function to do exactly the opposite, to remove all capital letters and make them show as small letters. Okay. So these are capitalized, not capitalized, all caps, all letters are capitals, and these all letters are small letters. Okay. Okay. Okay, here it is. I saved you the best for the last. Uh, the if function is one of the most powerful functions in Excel actually. Um, we will try to see how it is used. Hopefully you can understand it يعني quickly إن شاء الله. Um, and or and not these three functions. We will see them later, also true and false. So let's start with if and if error, because both of them are very, very powerful functions, especially if statement. Let's see. If I have student name and grade here and status here, okay? Okay, I have this list, let's say a specific test, a result for a specific test, and these are the participants for this test. Okay, and this is their grade, and I need not to mention the grade itself, but I need to mention if this person succeeded or failed. So I need just to write S or F in front of every one of them, depending on the percentage they scored. Let's say 60% is the passing score in this test, and everyone scores 60% or more will be considered as success, or and everybody less than 60 will considered as a failure. Okay, how can we do this? How can we come in here and type S or F for each one of them? I need to type if statement like this, and if statement takes three arguments. Let's open it in here. Maybe it become a little easier. The first argument expected in if statement is the logical test. What do you want to test? I want to test this grade. If this grade is greater than or equal to 60%, that means it is a success. If not, it should be a failure. So the logical test is D5, the cell D5 should be greater than or equal to 60%. Okay, so the result for this test is true. Excel has evaluated the result immediately and told me that the result of this test is true. Okay, if I say here 59, for example, if I type something like, for example, 61 or so, it will give me false. Okay, so this is true condition. What happens if true? true, I need to type S for success. For failure, I need to type F for failure, or I can type fail or success or whatever the words I need to type. Okay, now this is an S. If I copy and paste, I can see all these people succeeded and these people failed, and so on and so forth. Let's view it again. If statement takes three arguments. The first one is the logical test. That means the equation that if statement needs to evaluate, and after the evaluation, it will result. Is it true? Is this statement is true or false? If this statement is true, it will execute whatever is typed in here. If it is false, it will execute whatever typed in here. Here I'm typing only single letter, and here I'm typing only single letter. I can give if statement. I can give it more functions in here to execute them in case of success or failure. And after evaluating, if statement will decide which one to use. Okay. Let's do something else. Instead of having status, let's convert this grade to any equator needed. Let's say, for example, I will multiply it by 1.09. Okay. That means the succeeded person will get 1.89 like this. The failed will get 1.1. So I needed to distinguish the succeeded from failed, and to multiply the succeeded by this ratio and the failed with this ratio. Okay, so I want to say if this one is greater than or equal 60, okay, or simply I can use this status and check if it is S or F. Okay, in this case I will get the grade multiply by 1.09 and F4 to add these dollar signs. If not, I will take the same grade multiply by 1.1 and F4 to fix the reference. I will say okay. So sorry. Okay. So this one, because it is succeeded, it is multiplied by this option, and the other one, which is failed, should be multiplied with the other one. Okay. What if I have here a number, a text instead of number? Okay, this one by mistake or something happened, so I have here a non-number value. See, this equation has generated an error. It has generated an error. So this error actually looks ugly, and in my report Maybe I have the tolerance to ignore error cells, but I don't want it to look like this. Okay, so how can I get over this error? How can I show it in a little nice look? I can use if error, and give the if error the value which is this equation to evaluate. If this equation passes peacefully with a decent result and no error is generated, so the result will appear in the cell with no harm. But if an error happened, I need to type something maybe little nicer. Maybe I can type the word error. Maybe I can leave it as empty cell. Maybe I can put a dash or something like this. I will use these three letters. I will type ERR whenever an error is generated by this formula. And we close. Let me copy this and paste it. Okay. This is the only error. So whenever an error is generated, it is replaced by this word or this symbol or this sentence, whatever I can write here anything I want. Let's come again and see what if error looks like. Here it is. If error takes a couple of arguments. The first one is a value to evaluate. This value is either an error or not. It is either a decent value or an error. If it is a decent value, it will be passed to be shown on the cell. But if it is an error, this function will go to the value needed to be shown instead of the value of this constant or function or whatever. So if the first option is an error, it will be neglected and replaced by the other one. If the first one is not an error, it will be passed to be shown or to appear in the cell. Okay, let's see again. This is the function that is being evaluated. We have learned it here. We have learned how to type if statement, and we have learned it in here before. But now I am putting all this function as a value for the if error function to be evaluated. If it is throwing an error, so the error will be neglected and replaced by this word. If it is not throwing an error, the value will appear peaceful. Okay? Okay. That's it. What about the and, or, and not functions? These can combine more than one option. These can combine more than one option. That means if I have a scorecard for, let's say, so if I have odd, even, odd, even, and I need to know the result of multiplication of odd multiplied by odd, or even multiplied by odd, and so on and so forth. So I can say, let's say for example, if this one equals odd, I need to say and. How can I say and? I cannot. So I need to use another function, which is and, like this, and give it another option. This one equals odd. So the and evaluates two things. If both return true, so the full thing returns true. If both or one of them returns false, so the full thing returns false. And then if statement start working. Okay? So let's say this is positive, otherwise it will be negative. This is only one example. Okay? That means true plus true equals true. Okay, so if I use and this one and this one, because both of them is true, so the end result is true. But if one of them is false, so the end result is false. Okay, the or is very similar, but it takes only one of them to be true for the or itself to be true. Okay, type. What is the practical usage for this and or? Sometimes, for example, I need to say if all of these people have grades, give me true in here. So if is number this, true, otherwise false. Is number means, of course, this is a number. Okay? So in this case, all of them are true except for these two because they are not numbers. So if I have hundreds, maybe thousands of values, and I need to quickly check, so I can come in here and say and all of them together. So if all of them are true, this will give me one big true. If not, if only one of them is false, it will return false. Let's give it here. See, all of them are true now. So this one, this and evaluates every single item here and returns true because all of them are true. Okay? Okay. That's it, guys. Thank you so much for joining this course, and I hope you have enjoyed Microsoft Excel, and I hope the last portion of equations wasn't so hard and it was easy to digest. And I hope to see you again, inshallah, in other courses. And if you have any question, please leave it and I will try to answer it, inshallah. Thank you so much and see you soon. Goodbye.